The topic of this video is how much money you need to save in order to buy a house. But before we get started, please hit that like button and share this video to people who you think might benefit from this information. Anybody that you think is looking to buy a house, whether it's now or within the next year or so. And by you liking and sharing, it would help me out a lot. Also, turn on the notifications so every time I post a new video, you will get notified. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be doing some math. And please keep in mind, this is just an example. This is a bird's eye view of the expenses that you will need to cover. So depending on your state and depending on the type of loan product you get matched up with, you might have more expenses or you might have less expenses. So we're going to work backwards, and we're going to have to assume some simple parameters just for the sake of this video. Okay, so you can go ahead, as I'm going through the example, you can plug in the costs that are in your area. So I am here in Sacramento, California, and the examples I'll be using will be kind of geared towards my Sacramento folks. Okay, so some simple parameters. Let's say you get pre-approved to buy a house for $300,000 for a 3% conventional loan. Your real estate agent then finds you a house and gets your offer accepted at $300,000. So what is your down payment? $300,000 times 3%, that is $9,000. Simple enough. Okay, now what else do you need to pay for? We have closing costs. Now, as a rule of thumb, we normally say your closing costs will be between 2 to 3% of the purchase price. Now, why is it an estimate in the beginning? Well, first, we know at least here in the state of California, the sellers oftentimes pick the escrow company. And the reason why we estimate closing costs is because each escrow company has their own set of fees, and they all charge different prices. So closing costs, they include taxes, insurance, escrow and title fees, notary, recording fees, and more fees. I'll do a separate video on closing costs, and I'll do a deep dive in a separate video. And sometimes sellers can help the buyers by giving them credit at closing to help you pay for closing costs. It's not always a guarantee. It's easier in the buyer's market. Or if the house has been on the market for a long time, then it's easier for you to negotiate for the seller to help cover your closing costs. It's always a very tough sell, because when you ask the seller to pay for your closing costs, you're essentially asking them to take money out of their pocket and give it to you. So again, it depends on what the market conditions are. Go ahead and ask your local real estate agent if it's possible for you to get your closing costs covered, or at least get help. All right, so next set of expenses are your home inspections. Here in Sacramento, the costs for home, pest, and roof inspections, it's about $400 to $600. I don't know what it is in other parts of the country, but that's the going rate here. If the house is, let's say, more than 2,000 square feet, or if it's a big house, then you may be paying more than $600. And next we have the appraisal. So the appraisal, just for the sake of this video, nice round number, let's just say it's $500. It can be more, it can be less. An appraiser is a third-party company or person that the bank hires to inspect the property that you plan on buying, and they give you an opinion of how much that house is worth. And last, I just want to talk about this concept of reserves. So the banks don't like it when you empty out your closet, your piggy bank, just to buy a house. They want you especially in these rough times, to have some money saved up even after paying down payment, closing costs, and other fees associated to buying a house. So, just in case of an emergency or if anything happens to your job, they want you to at least have some cushion there to continue making your mortgage payments. So, what counts as reserves? You have your assets, your cash savings, your investments like 401k, and your IRA. If you have stocks, believe it or not, sometimes Bitcoin is accepted. Again, it depends on the loan product you have and the banks that you're working with. Some may accept different types of assets than others. So there you go. Those that's like a bird's eye view of how much it costs and how much you need to save. So if you're buying a $300,000 house, you might want to save up at least 9 grand for your down payment, 9 grand for your closing costs. Let's see, home inspections and appraisals. That's another $1,000. So 18, 19, I would say, just to be safe and have some reserves there. If you have $25,000 in the bank, I think you'll be in good shape. So if you have any questions, or if you're curious to see how much you qualify for, you want to get an estimate of your fees, you want to get an estimate of your closing costs, you can go ahead and reach out to me. You can email me or you can text me at 916-400-0852, and I'll be happy to help you out. My name is Nicar. I'm a realtor and loan officer, and I'm here to help.